It's really great to introduce to you this new insights paper that we've done, which looks at career education in primary schools. So I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction to it in this session. So in the paper, we look at how early career education should start, at what career education in primary schools should look like, and what the impacts of early engagement with career education are. So I'll start with the idea of, well, what is a career? And I think often people assume that a career is something about choosing a single job or an occupation, or perhaps pursuing a sort of upward trajectory across your different work-based roles. Here we're trying to define career much more broadly as the individual's journey through life, learning and work. So it's a broad definition. It's not just about paid work, but it's about getting young people to think about their futures. And in this sense, career is both life-wide and lifelong. In fact, its great strength is that it combines both of those two things together. So by life-wide, we mean it's about making decisions about how you spend your days, what time you're going to do things, how much time you're going to allocate to different things in any given day. And then lifelong is how you use those decisions to guide you through your whole life. And that starts very early. It starts actually as soon as we're born, really, and moves on from there. Now, some people are concerned about this idea that career is something that starts early. They say that the careers education in primary schools might be trying to sort of push young people into jobs, perhaps even to sort of slot them into things that their parents or the schools think are good for them, and we should keep it open. Well, there's some of that I agree with, but I think absolutely we should be talking to young people about work, about career, about learning choices, about all the possibilities that lay for them in the future. We shouldn't be trying to get young people to make decisions when they're young. We should be broadening possibilities rather than narrowing them. And if we think about careers like this, it's an absolute gift for the primary curriculum. It's something which actually can link to what is, after all, the main purpose of the primary education system, which is to introduce young people to the world, to give them the skills and knowledge that they're going to need to be successful in that world. And careers education is absolutely about this. It's about exploring the world, finding out how it works, looking at how different things like work and learning fit into that. And it offers opportunities for creative projects that can connect different subjects: maths, literacy, history, science, and all these different kinds of forms of learning. And it also provides space to involve parents and the wider community. So in this sense, why would we not engage with career as a theme that can underpin much work within the primary curriculum? So one of the reasons why it's so important is that we know that young people's thinking about career goes through a series of stages. And there's a lot of argument about exactly when those stages happen. But when young people are very young, they have everything is possible. If you ask them what kind of career they might want to pursue, they might tell you that they want to be a dragon or a unicorn. But as time goes on, we gradually become more realistic, we narrow our career choices, and ultimately, hopefully, we choose something that we're going to enjoy and move into that. Now, what is clear from research in this area is that the point at which that choice making and that narrowing happens is much earlier than people often think. So by the time you go to secondary school, you may not have chosen a job, but you've certainly started to shape your ideas about what the future might hold. So in that sense, it's important, if we're going to do career education at all, for us to start to intervene before young people start to narrow their views about what's possible. Because if we don't intervene, we leave all of the responsibility for that to parents, to communities, and to kind of implicit career education that young people receive if they're not receiving explicit career education in schools. So this career education that we're providing within primary is not about choosing a career, and we need to keep saying that. We're trying to keep students thinking broad. It's about exploration, it's about inspiration, it's about expansion of the horizons of possibility. It's about growing understanding of what the future might hold. So in doing this, what we're trying to encourage primary teachers to do is to put on their career glasses, because what we've seen when we look at careers education within primary schools is that often primary schools are doing a number of things which are already, to some extent, in that kind of world. They're already talking to young people about their futures. They're already talking to young people about the jobs that people are doing and so on. So the first stage of introducing career education to primary is to get teachers to put on their career glasses, to think about what's possible, to look around and look at different workplaces, occupations, post-primary education, the future. When is it they're talking about those things already? And what we will often find is that when primary school teachers do that, they see they're already doing quite a lot, and they also see new ways to make links within the curriculum. So if we think about how we embed career education into a primary school, we need to go through a number of stages. So the first thing is we need someone to lead it. That's probably going to be someone in the school's leadership, but it might be a teacher that we assign to it. But somebody needs to be aware of what's possible. Someone needs to kind of think about how to develop the careers curriculum. We also need to spend time making sure educators are comfortable. Some of the arguments that I've already made today are not necessarily intuitive. They're not necessarily something that primary school teachers already think. So we need to encourage primary school teachers to talk about it, to think about it, to understand that we're not trying to get them to get people to choose a career, but actually to get them to kind of explore and look more broadly. We then need to spend time embedding it into the curriculum. Now, there's value sometimes in having specific activities that are devoted to careers that are outside of the curriculum. There's value also in clubs and visits and so on. But if it's going to have its maximum effect, it's got to sit within the curriculum. It's got to find connections with other subjects. We also need to look beyond the school and to find staff, to find employers, to talk to parents, to engage a wide range of people outside of the context of the school, because that's one of the things that careers education is really about. It's about, helping young people to see that there is a world beyond school. And finally, we need to make sure that we start early with this, that we don't wait until students are about to make a transition to secondary school, but we actually start right from the beginning. It's a theme that runs through the whole of primary school, and students encounter it in various ways repeatedly during their time in primary school. So what does it look like in practice? Well, broadly, I think there's sort of three types of things you can do. So the first one is school-based activities. It's building activities into the curriculum. It's spending time looking at things like life skills. It's spending time running simulations, role plays and games based around work and entrepreneurship, and many other things as well. But we also want to make sure that we bring some visitors into the school. So let's bring the parents in. Let's bring local employers in, perhaps run mini careers fairs. Let's bring in role models to talk to students and then give them employers and staff as mentors and volunteers. And finally, we might want to find ways to take students out of school, to give them the opportunity to see what the world outside of school looks like. And one of the key moments for that is the transition to secondary school, where we're going to probably be running some kind of program to get students ready for secondary school. Well, let's reframe that as their first big career transition and give them a chance to think about what they're doing, what skills they're building up as they're making that transition. Secondly, we want to get them out of the classroom if we can at some point, get them to see local employers, go to colleges, visit universities. This is all good stuff. And finally, we want to set homework projects for students to learn about careers in their families and communities. So if we do all of this, we can expect to see increased engagement in the classroom, increased equity of outcomes, improved long-term outcomes, and better foundations for career support. So there's some references here if you're interested in finding out more. But my message ultimately is it's never too early to start career education. We need to be doing career education in primary schools because children are developing their career identity much earlier than we think. Career is an exciting and a creative theme, and there's a growing body of practice that clarifies how we should do it and evidence that tells us it has a range of positive impacts. So you can get the paper there. Thank you very much for listening. I hope some of that has been of interest.